to achieve something. Have you ever felt fear you from speaking your truth, from taking that one step you know could change your life to achieve something? What if I told you that fear isn't your enemy, but your greatest teacher? You see, Shaolin monks don't fight fear. They train the mind until fear no longer leads. This isn't about becoming fearless. It's about becoming undisturbed, and through ancient discipline, through stillness, through restriction that unlocks inner strength. They mastered the one thing most people ignore, themselves. And now you can too. Beat pause. Sound shifts subtly in the next few minutes. You'll discover not inspiration, something, but transformation from the inside out. Stay with me. Something. What you're about to hark might just silence the fear that's been controlling you for far too long. Awareness is the first gate. Awareness is the first gate you must walk through if you wish to master your mind and release yourself from the grip of fear. Something. Without awareness, you are like a leaf blown by the wind, moved by every thought, every emotion, every sensation without understanding their origin or their direction. Fear in such a state becomes your ruler. It dictates your behavior, shapes your decisions, and narrows your world. The moment you become aware, truly aware, fear begins to lose its control. To become aware is not the same as thinking about what you feel. Awareness is not the analysis of fear. It is not asking yourself why you are afraid or what caused the fear in the past. That may come later. Achieve something. True awareness is the act of seeing what is present in you now without immediately reacting, resisting, or trying to change it. It is the quality of silent observation, the kind that watches a cloud move across the sky without trying to push it away. In your daily life, achieve something. Fear arises in many subtle forms. It may appear as hesitation before you speak your truth to achieve something. It may take the form of anger when you feel threatened. It may disguise itself as anxiety about what others think or as avoidance when faced with the unknown. These expressions are not always loud. Sometimes fear wears quiet clothing, achieves something. It hides behind logic, behind comfort, behind the need to control. Without awareness, you may live your entire life obeying these hidden commands, thinking they are your own voice. But with awareness, something begins to shift. You catch the moment when fear arises. You notice the tightness in your chest, the shallow breath, the quickening of your thoughts. And in that noticing, you create space. That space is sacred. It is the space in which choice becomes possible. Before awareness, achieve something. You are reacting. After awareness, you are responding. The two may look the same from the outside, but they are as different as night and day within. Training awareness is not a one-time effort. It is a practice, a discipline, an internal cultivation that must be visited every day, just as the body becomes strong through repetition. Awareness becomes sharp through consistent returning. You may begin with the breath, not to control it, not to manipulate it, simply to witness it. Sit quietly. Feel the air enter. Feel it leave. Notice when your attention wanders. Gently return. Each return is a moment of awakening. Each return strengthens the foundation of your awareness. Over time, you begin to observe more than just the breath. You observe your reactions when someone speaks. You observe your own voice when it is full of insecurity. You notice how quickly you reach for distraction when silence becomes uncomfortable. Achieve something. And in all of this, you do not judge. This is essential. If you judge what you see, you have not yet stepped through the gate. Something judgment is the mind's attempt to interfere. Pure awareness has no opinion. It simply sees. In the Shaolin tradition, achieve something. Awareness is not separated from action. The training hall is not just for movement. It is a place to train the mind through motion. Every step, every strike, every stillness is an opportunity to observe your internal state. Do you act from tension, from doubt, from fear, or from calm attention? In this way, awareness is not only trained in meditation, but in motion, in challenge, in discomfort. Something that is where it is tested, and that is where it grows. Fear feeds on unconsciousness. It thrives in the darkness of unawareness. Achieve something. It uses your body like a puppet and convinces you that you are powerless. But when you see it, truly see it in the moment arises, you are no longer its puppet. You become the observer. You step back and create a distance between the event and your identity. You realize this fear is present, but it is not me. This is a subtle but powerful realization. You stop being afraid and start noticing fear. Something. The difference may be only a few seconds of attention, but it is those seconds that change the direction of your life. Some say that awareness is soft, that it is passive. This is a misunderstanding. Awareness is the most active part of your being. To achieve something, it requires strength to stay present. It demands courage to look directly into what frightens you without turning away. It is the warrior's gaze, steady and unblinking. And once you cultivate this awareness, fear has nowhere to hide. It may still come, but it will find no place to take root because you have seen it. And once something is seen clearly, it begins to lose its power. Fear is a messenger, not a master. Fear is not your enemy. It is not something to be destroyed, defeated, or denied. Fear is a messenger, something. It carries information about your inner state, your attachments, your unhealed wounds, and the edges of your comfort zone. To achieve something, when you begin to treat fear as a signal rather than a threat, you open a path to transformation. You stop running from it and instead begin listening to it. And in that listening, fear no longer controls you. It becomes your teacher. From the moment we are born, fear has served a function. It protected the body from danger. It alerted us to threats, real or perceived. But over time, fear took on roles it was never meant to play. It began to interfere with our decisions, not because we were in danger, but because we were uncomfortable. It whispered that rejection is dangerous, that failure is fatal, that uncertainty must be avoided. And slowly we started obeying those whispers. Fear became not just a signal of physical threat, but a ruler over our inner life. Something, it began to shape the way we speak, the way we move, the way we live. The problem is not fear itself. The problem is our identification with it. You say, I am afraid. And with those three words, you give fear a home in your identity. You make it personal, permanent, and powerful. But in reality, fear is just an experience passing through something. It is a pattern of sensations, a quickening heart, a shift in breath, a thought of what might go wrong. It is not you. It is not who you are. If something, it is simply what is happening within you at a given moment. And once you recognize this, you begin to create space, achieve something. You begin to see that fear is present, but it is not control. Unless you allow it to be, a Shaolin practitioner does not train to become fearless. That is a myth. Instead, one trains to act with clarity. even in the presence of fear. This is a deeper mastery. Fear may arise before a difficult confrontation, before a leap into the unknown, before stepping onto a stage or into silence. But if the practitioner has trained the mind, they can see the fear arise, acknowledge its message, and still move forward. The fear becomes a part of the path, not an obstacle to it. In this way, fear is transformed from master into guide. To reach this level of internal freedom, you must begin with the small fears: fear of being misunderstood, fear of discomfort, fear of judgment. When these fears arise, do not suppress them. Do not fight them. Do not pretend they are not there. Instead, breathe and look. Ask, what is this fear showing me? What am I holding on to that creates this fear? Often, fear will reveal that you are attached to control, to comfort, achieve something, or to a certain outcome. The fear exists to point out these attachments, not to punish you for having them. This process of seeing fear as a messenger requires humility. The ego does not like fear. It sees fear as weakness, as something to hide. But a strong person is not the one who never feels fear. A strong person is one who can meet fear directly without flinching something and learn from it. There is a saying, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. Something. What is rarely said is that the treasure is not always gold. It is understanding. It is depth. It is insight into your own nature. Something. And fear is often the gatekeeper of that treasure. When you begin to live in this way, fear becomes less threatening. You begin to sense its rhythm, its texture, its patterns. You recognize how it rises, peaks, and eventually fades. No emotion is permanent, and fear is no exception. Something. The difference between being mastered by fear and mastering your mind lies in your ability to stay present as fear moves through you. If you act blindly, the fear shapes your choices. If you pause and observe, the fear becomes part of your growth. In traditional training, practitioners are exposed to discomfort intentionally. Long hours of repetition, cold mornings, physical challenge, something silence. These are not punishments. They are mirrors. They reveal where the mind still resists, where the body tenses, where fear hides, through something. And through this exposure, the practitioner is not to escape fear, but to expand their capacity to hold it. And eventually, what once felt overwhelming becomes familiar, not comfortable, but familiar. And in that familiarity, power returns to the individual. Something, when you understand that fear is a message, you stop fearing fear itself. You stop avoiding situations that might awaken fear. Something, you become curious. You learn to walk toward it, knowing it brings valuable insight. Fear may show you where you have grown stagnant. Something. It may show you what matters deeply to you. It may even show you your purpose, achieve something. All this is possible only when fear is no longer treated as the enemy of something, but as a sacred messenger pointing to something important within yourself. Discipline liberates the mind. Discipline is not about punishment or force. It is not about pushing yourself until you break. True discipline is structure chosen freely, a rhythm created with intention, a form that allows freedom to emerge from within. Many people believe that freedom means doing whatever they want whenever they want. But this is not freedom. It is chaos. It is slavery to impulses. Discipline is the opposite of chaos. It is the container within which clarity, strength, and peace can grow. A mind without discipline is restless. It jumps from one thought to the next, always searching, always distracted, never still. It becomes reactive, pulled by fear, pulled by desire, pulled by every external stimulus. Such a mind cannot find peace because it does not know where it is going or why it moves the way it does. To master the mind, you must first train it to stay, to be still, to hold attention. This is where discipline enters. In the Shaolin tradition, discipline begins with the body. You do not wait for the mind to be calm before you train. You train to create calm. You train when you feel lazy. You train when you feel doubt. You train not to fight your emotions, but to move through them. When the body rises each day at the same time, when the breath is practiced with intention, when the movements are repeated with presence, this physical order begins to influence the mental space. Slowly, the restless mind begins to mirror the steady body. The outer discipline becomes inner discipline. Many people seek motivation. They want to feel inspired before they act, but motivation is temporary. It rises and falls like the weather. Discipline is different. Discipline is a decision, a commitment made in advance, a path you walk whether the sky is clear or full of storms. It is not exciting, but it is powerful. It is what allows progress to happen even on days when everything else is uncertain. Through discipline, you start to see yourself differently. You begin to build trust with your own mind. Every time you say you will do something and follow through, your mind becomes more reliable, more focused. You begin to feel stable in yourself, and in this stability, fear begins to shrink because fear often grows in the space where there is no structure. When the mind wanders, fear enters. When the mind is disciplined, fear finds no room. It is important to understand that discipline does not mean rigidity. It does not mean forcing yourself to follow rules without reflection. It means creating a structure that supports your highest intention. If you want to grow stronger, then you must train daily. If you want to quiet your mind, then you must sit in stillness regularly. If you want to live without fear controlling you, then you must meet fear with consistency. Not once, but again and again until it no longer defines your actions. Discipline is not something you impose. It is something you develop. It grows from understanding. When you understand the value of stillness, you will sit. When you understand the purpose of movement, you will train. When you understand that every small act shapes your character, you will act with care. The more you understand, the more naturally discipline flows, not from pressure, but from clarity. One reason discipline is so powerful is that it reduces decision fatigue. When your day has a rhythm, your mind has more space for presence. You do not waste energy deciding whether or not to practice. You practice. You do not debate whether to train. You train. This simplicity frees mental energy for deeper work, and that deeper work is what allows you to observe fear, understand it, and eventually move through it. In the early stages of discipline, resistance is natural. The mind will protest, the body will complain. But if you continue, something subtle begins to shift. What once felt difficult becomes normal. What once felt like effort becomes natural flow. The same cold water that once shocked your skin becomes refreshing. The same stillness that once brought discomfort begins to reveal peace. This is the transformation that discipline brings. Discipline liberates the mind because it strengthens your will. When your will is strong, you are not controlled by fear, by emotion, or by external circumstances. You can stay steady in storms. You can make clear decisions even in uncertainty. This is not because fear disappears, but because it no longer determines your path. Discipline allows you to walk your path with your eyes open, your body steady, and your mind free from the chaos of unconscious reaction. Restriction is the path to freedom. To the ordinary mind, the idea of restriction may seem like a limitation. It may appear as confinement, as something that takes away pleasure, choice, or spontaneity. But to the trained mind, restriction is not a cage. It is the doorway to inner freedom. It is the conscious decision to limit what distracts, weakens, or scatters the mind in exchange for depth, clarity, and strength. Freedom is not found in the absence of boundaries. It is cultivated through the discipline of self-restraint. In the modern world, there is a constant flood of stimulation, information, entertainment, options, distractions. There is always something available to capture attention. The mind becomes addicted to switching, constantly looking for novelty, avoiding silence, avoiding stillness. In such an environment, freedom becomes impossible. You may feel free, but you are merely drifting. True freedom is not the ability to do everything. It is the ability to choose one thing with full attention and to remain unmoved by all the other noise. This capacity can only be developed through restriction. Restriction begins with the small choices. You choose to wake at the same time each day. You choose to eat with awareness instead of indulgence. You choose to sit in silence when the mind wants to be entertained. These may seem like small acts, but they are powerful messages to the mind. They say, "You are not in control, I am." Slowly, this reshapes the inner structure. The mind begins to obey rather than lead. It becomes a servant of awareness rather than a master of emotion. In the training hall, restriction is built into the environment. Meals are timed, movements are precise, schedules are fixed. This is not for punishment, it is for liberation. Within these limits, the mind is no longer distracted by endless choice. Attention sharpens. The practitioner no longer wastes energy deciding what to do. That energy is conserved and it is redirected toward mastery. The same can be applied to everyday life by reducing unnecessary options. By limiting habits that drain focus, you reclaim your energy. And with that energy, you build freedom. Many believe that avoiding pain and seeking comfort is the way to happiness. But comfort often breeds dependence. It weakens the spirit and dulls the senses. Restriction, when applied consciously, sharpens everything. It reveals the strength that was hidden under layers of laziness. It shows you that you do not need as much as you think. You realize that joy can arise from simplicity, from stillness, from breath. You realize that so much of your suffering came from overindulgence, too much thought, too much food, too much reaction. Restriction breaks this cycle. The purpose of restriction is not to suppress, but to refine. Just as a sculptor removes excess stone to reveal the statue, within the practitioner removes excess habits to reveal clarity. This is not deprivation. It is revelation. You see more clearly when the noise is reduced. You act more precisely when the path is narrowed. You move with intention when every action has weight. Through restriction, the quality of life deepens. Fear often grows stronger when there are too many options. When the mind is overstimulated, it becomes difficult to discern what truly matters. But when restriction is practiced, the fog begins to lift, the mind becomes still enough to see. And in that stillness, fear no longer has room to expand. Its power fades in the light of presence. This is the paradox of restriction. What appears to limit you from the outside in truth sets you free on the inside. In meditation, restriction is at the core. You restrict movement, you restrict speech, you restrict reaction. You do not allow the body to fidget or the mind to chase every thought. And within that silence, something vast opens. The same principle applies in daily life. When you train yourself to say no to distraction, to delay gratification, to face discomfort without retreat, you gain strength. Not a loud, aggressive strength, but a quiet, grounded strength that does not shake when life becomes uncertain. To restrict is not to punish, it is to purify, it is to bring attention back to what is essential. When you stop feeding every craving, you begin to notice what you actually need. When you stop speaking constantly, you begin to hear your own thoughts. When you limit what you consume, food, media, noise, you discover a stillness that has always been there. Waiting, that stillness becomes your sanctuary, and within that sanctuary, freedom lives, not the freedom of escaping discipline, but the freedom that only discipline can bring. Something. A stillness is the sword that cuts through illusion. Stillness is not the absence of movement. Achieve something. It is not simply sitting in silence or keeping the body motionless. Stillness is a quality of attention that remains unmoved even when everything around it shifts. It is the steady center within the storm, something, the unwavering gaze in the middle of fear, desire, confusion, or doubt. In the tradition of internal mastery, just stillness is not a luxury. It is a necessity, is the sword that cuts through illusion, that reveals truth beneath noise, something, and that brings the mind out of chaos and into clarity. Most people are not aware of how much movement rules their life. Not just physical movement, but mental and emotional agitation. The mind is constantly jumping, reacting, anticipating, analyzing, regretting. It moves with such speed and such repetition that it creates the illusion of being alive. But movement alone is not life. Something, it is often a distraction from life. Without stillness, you do not see what is truly happening. Something, you see only your thoughts about what is happening. You become lost in interpretation and lose touch with experience. Something, fear thrives in this kind of mental movement. It grows stronger in distraction, in overthinking, in constant noise. Something, when the mind keeps spinning, fear is never questioned. It is simply accepted. You assume it must be real because it feels urgent. But when stillness is cultivated, everything begins to slow down. The storm of thought starts to quiet. And in that quiet something, you can finally observe fear directly, not the story around it, not the memory that triggered it to achieve something, but the raw sensation of fear as it arises in the body and in the breath. This direct observation weakens the illusion that fear is bigger than you. Stillness is not something you wait for. It is something you train. It is built intentionally, breath by breath, moment by moment, until the mind begins to settle into a natural rhythm of observation. Something in the beginning, the mind will resist. It will search for stimulation. It will become irritated, bored, restless. These are not problems. These are signs that the training has begun. The stillness is shining a light on the very mechanisms that keep the mind trapped. And the more you sit with this resistance without trying to escape it, the more power you begin to reclaim. In the Shaolin tradition, a physical training is often vigorous, but it is never separated from stillness. After intense movement, there is pause, achieve something. After a powerful sequence, there is silence. This is not a break, it is a practice. Achieve something. The stillness allows the practitioner to absorb what has been done, to feel the breath return, to witness the body and mind without distraction. In daily life, the same principle applies. Moments of stillness create depth. Without them, life becomes shallow and repetitive. Stillness sharpens perception. It allows you to see the truth beneath your reactions. When someone speaks to you with anger, a restless mind reacts with more anger. A still mind notices the anger feels its surge, but does not become it. It responds with clarity. This clarity is the result of training. It is not natural for the undisciplined mind. It is developed through patience, through returning again and again to stillness, even when it feels uncomfortable, achieve something, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Stillness also reveals impermanence. In the quiet, something. You begin to witness the rise and fall of every thought, every feeling, every urge. You see that nothing lasts. Even fear achieves something. When observed without interference, begins to dissolve. It fades on its own without being fought to achieve something. This observation creates a deep sense of peace. Not because fear is gone forever, achieve something, but because you now see that it cannot control you unless you allow it. You see that you are not fear something. You are the awareness that sees it come and go. The sword of stillness does not cut with force. It cuts with presence. Something. It slices through illusion gently, but completely. It removes the layers of false identity. The belief that you are your thoughts to achieve something, that you are your fears, that you are your failures. In the space that remains, you rediscover your true self, not the self that is shaped by external expectations, but the one that is grounded in silence, steady in the face of uncertainty, calm even when the world is not. To hold stillness in your posture is one form, something. But to carry stillness in your mind while walking, speaking, or acting, that is the deeper mastery, something. It means you are no longer pulled in every direction by emotion or circumstance. It means your center is strong. And from that center, you achieve something. Your decisions become precise, your actions become intentional, and your presence begins to influence the world around you. The body trains the mind. The separation of body and mind is an illusion. It is a division that only exists in thought, not in reality. Every emotion, every belief, every fear that arises in the mind leaves its imprint on the body. And every habit, every posture, every breath you take influences the state of your mind. The body and mind are not two. They are one expression of the same life, of something. To train the body is not just to grow stronger or more flexible. It is to shape the mind through movement, through breath, something, through attention anchored in the physical form. In the Shaolin tradition, the body is not viewed as an obstacle to transcend something. It is the vehicle through which discipline, focus, and inner strength are cultivated. It is where the training begins. Something. Because when you move your body with intention, when you endure fatigue with awareness, when you hold a form without collapsing, something, you are simultaneously training the mind to be still, to be alert, and to remain grounded even in discomfort. Physical practice becomes a mirror for mental habits. You see where you give up easily. You see where you push without awareness, something. You see how you react to pain, to repetition, to silence. In seeing, you begin to change. The mind often wants to change through thought alone. It seeks understanding, insight, explanation, but insight without embodiment is shallow. It does not last. You may understand a principle intellectually, yet fall back into fear when life becomes difficult. Achieve something, it is through the training of the body that insight becomes rooted. Something. It is through repetition that new pathways are carved, not just in the muscles, but in the nervous system, in the way the mind responds to challenge. Every drop of sweat carries meaning. Every repetition is a message. I am here. I will not run. I will meet this moment fully. Posture alone can reveal the state of your mind. When the body collapses, When the spine curves, comes something. When the breath becomes shallow, it reflects an inner condition of doubt, heaviness, or fear. And the reverse is also true. Achieve something. When the body is upright, open, and still, the mind begins to follow. Achieve something. You can shift your inner state not only by thinking differently, but by standing, breathing differently, moving with more awareness. The body becomes the doorway through which the mind is shaped. In moments of fear, the body contracts, the shoulders tighten, the jaw clenches, the breath becomes fast and high. If you do not notice this pattern, it becomes your default response, something. But if you are trained to recognize these signs, you can intervene, you can slow the breath. You can relax the shoulders, something. You can root the feet into the ground. These simple actions send a powerful message to the mind. There is no danger here. Stay calm, stay present. In this way, the body becomes the ally of awareness. It grounds the mind when thought alone cannot. To train the body is also to build resilience. You learn that discomfort is not the end of you. You learn that shaking muscles, aching limbs is something, and the tired breath are not enemies to escape, but teachers to meet. You build a new relationship with effort, something. You stop seeing it as suffering and start seeing it as refinement. Every moment of physical challenge becomes a chance to say yes to growth, to courage, to presence, something. And that yes echoes in the mind, shaping how you face fear, how you make decisions, how you hold yourself in the world. The training does not have to be complex. Simple forms practiced with depth and consistency are enough. The point is not to perform at something, but to transform. Every time you repeat a movement, you are practicing presence. Every time you align breath with motion, you are synchronizing mind and body. Every time you bring attention to the body, you are pulling the mind out of distraction, out of confusion, and into this moment. This moment is where all training happens. This moment is where mastery begins. When the body becomes strong, when the mind feels supported, when the body becomes steady, the mind finds balance. When the body becomes still, the mind begins to quiet. You realize that the body is not separate from your inner path. It is the foundation. It holds the wisdom of your past and the expression of your present and the potential of your future. Through the body, you learn to endure. Through the body, you learn to focus, to achieve something. Through the body, you train the mind to return home again and again to what is real and unshakable.